All right. Welcome in. Another evening with Trim Capital Partners, TCP SuperSystem. Had a pretty great day today. Bitcoin's pretty much flat, trading around 84,111. Congratulations to Mr. McElroy on his Masters victory. That's pretty awesome for those that got to watch that on a beautiful Sunday. Got a good show for you today. We're actually going to do something a little different. We are going to go into the TCP super system after we do a quick presentation on 5 key themes that we think will help Bitcoin reach $13 million. No, that's not our price target. That is the referenced price target of many prominent people in the space. And our goal here is to leverage the TCP super system to help you identify areas of opportunity to generate those alpha returns much greater than the 7% that most people are happy with. Uh, but before we get into the TCP super system, let's go into those 5 key themes that we think will help drive Bitcoin to 13 million potentially. Disclaimer, nothing we share today is financial advice. We are not financial advisors, but let's go ahead and get into it. So, how can Bitcoin reach $13 million? And you're going to see on the screen 5 key themes that we think can help drive Bitcoin to those targets. Number 1, global reserve currency adoption. Number 2, hyperinflation of fiat currencies. 3, mass retail and corporate adoption. Speculative mania, FOMO, and then geopolitical instability. And we're going to go through these real briefly. This is not going to take long. So when you think about global reserve currency adoption, if Bitcoin becomes the de facto global reserve asset, replacing or rivaling gold and fiat reserves, I think you're going to see central banks and governments, holding this as a hedge against inflation or currency collapse. And one of the things that we came across today was, as of April of this year, there's at least 9 national governments that are reported to hold Bitcoin. And of course, the United States is, the largest one at almost 50% of that they've at least can document. China being number 2, UK number 3, and so forth and so on. But the United States right now holds over 200,000 Bitcoin. Obviously, most of that was from that Silk Road seizure. And again, this may not be exhaustive. Some governments keep things a little more private. And others have smaller unreported stashes. And again, at the bottom down here on the screen, you'll see the total here of these 9 governments is about 471,000 Bitcoin, or 2.5% of the supply. So certainly we think that adoption is taking place as we speak. 2025, in our opinion, is probably maybe the first year of real institutional adoption. So we'll see where we go from here. Next, I think everyone can understand hyperinflation of fiat currencies. Given the unchecked money printing that goes on around the world, not just here in the U.S., just printing money to pay interest that we're so far gone. There's currency wars, manipulation of currencies, printing whenever these governments want to do it. So, I mean, obviously that's not going to change. Mass retail and corporate adoption. So if you think about, Bitcoin becoming a primary medium of exchange, you're likely to have millions of businesses and individuals using it daily with, scalable solutions like the Lightning Network. This could create demand. This could create a skyrocketing demand, and I think it already is. But companies holding Bitcoin as treasury reserves like MicroStrategy, consumers transacting seamlessly, could create just a self-reinforcing cycle of growth. And I want to show you something here. Oh, sorry, wrong way. Uh, you know, in this we came up today, we came across this today as well. So how many U.S. public companies own Bitcoin? And you can see here we came across 70. Now these are publicly traded. I'm sure there's a whole host of private companies that we don't know about because it's not public information, but at least 70 publicly traded companies, and that's just, you know, I don't know if that's just U.S., but likely it is. MicroStrategy or Strategy, ran by Michael Saylor's, probably number one at over 500,000 Bitcoin. And you got some on the list here. You can see some of these are Bitcoin miners, so like Marathon, Riot. Those are Bitcoin miners. And then you got Tesla on the list here, and Coinbase Global, and then Block Inc. So clearly, when it comes to corporate adoption, you know, things are picking up at a rapid pace. You got ETFs, you got these companies looking to add it to their Bitcoin or to their treasury strategies, and all this is a hedge, right? And then you've got the speculative mania and FOMO. So if you think about a prolonged market bull cycle that can be fueled by retail and institutional FOMO, I think that's where we come into the Bitcoin game theory, and that's what we think will drive institutional FOMO. So if you think about it, Bitcoin's fixed supply. People say there's 21 million. There's probably really never going to be 21 million in the circulating supply. 4 to 5 million have been lost. The other million, I mean, we're still, 120, was it 120 years away from mining the last Bitcoin. So I think we're fixing to see a severe supply crunch, and to the degree that most people could never expect, especially with more and more ETFs, more and more institutions, more and more global governments. I mean, investment houses, banks, etc. I mean, it's coming fast and furious. So, and again, when you think about the Bitcoin game theory, its decentralized nature, getting the advantage from being a first mover like Michael Saylor did with his company, and you can see at the bottom here, his stock has gone up 500% since 2020. And of course, the latecomers risk higher entry prices and diminished relevance, right? So you're going to see more and more companies, you know, really pressing, I guess, to their boards and their, stockholders that they want to integrate, Bitcoin and I mean, probably other cryptos into their treasury strategies. So pretty remarkable here. Pretty awesome to see. And then the last thing on the list, the geopolitical instability and capital flight. So when you think about that, we're talking about widespread geopolitical turmoil. You could have currency wars. You could have, you know, you could have wars. You could have any amount of instability around the world could play a factor as well. So uh, again, those are the 5 things that we felt like could drive Bitcoin to 13 million. Again, not our price target. These are numbers referenced by prominent people in the space, including Michael Saylor himself. So again, global reserve currency adoption, hyperinflation of fiat, mass retail corporate adoption, mania of FOMO, and geopolitical instability. So hope you enjoyed that. Now I do want to show y'all just a couple real quick things that we had posted on our X page or LinkedIn, sorry. And then we'll go into the TCP SuperSystem and take a look at XRP and Bitcoin charts only because of the news we're about to share. So let me switch on over to our LinkedIn page, and I want to show you a couple things here. This one's from Cointelegraph. Senate Banking Chair Tim Scott announced that the market structure reforms are underway and said crypto legislation will pass by August. We all know Congress moves slow, but clearly this is something they've been working on. It's been in the news almost every other day, so nothing too special there. This one, however, will kind of lead us into our next little phase here in the TCP SuperSystem, but this is from something I posted that came out of Ondo Finance. And for those that don't know, Ondo is one of those tokenization plays that has the ends with BlackRock and should be a prominent player when it comes to tokenization of real-world assets. But here you can see this was I guess, from the U.S. Treasury Secretary speech to the successful collaboration between Broadridge and I don't know how to say that, Nality International. Both U.S. government and global financial institutions are leveraging tokenization to unlock greater value. And then here are some of the key developments. I'm not going to read it word for word, but you can see it's U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott speaking about regulatory challenges. You've got Paul Atkins confirmed as new SEC chairman, and he's expected to scale back regulation. And then this is probably a key one for our next little phase here. So Ripple acquires prime broker hidden road in one of the largest digital asset deals valued at over $1.25 billion. And of course, who is Hidden Road? They serve 300 institutional clients covering digital assets and traditional securities. And look at here. And these are the kinds of nuggets that you need to pay attention to. You're going to have Hidden Road leveraging Ripple's RLUSD stablecoin as collateral across its prime brokerage products and move its post-trade activity to the XRP Ledger blockchain. Ripple also sees potential for the deal to optimize cost and liquidity in its cross-border payments service, Ripple Payments, and to provide custody to Hidden Road's clients. When you have demand for RLUSD, that's going to boost the XRP token price. So just pay attention. Not going to go into any more than that. And then this was a little one we reshared, Grayscale Investments. I hope everyone knows who they are. And they're hiring. And when you see things like, hiring analysts for crypto products, analysts for research, analysts for digital marketing, it's a sign of a healthy market. So just keep that in mind. I think that's going to be it for today on the LinkedIn channel. So let's go into our last little phase here, and that's the TCP SuperSystem. Again, for those that haven't seen this before, this is the system that we leverage to make significant gains, quote, alpha returns, much higher than the 7% that most people are proud to get in the traditional markets. We typically trade with this on a view that looks a little different. It's going to look like, well, give me 1 second here. Yeah, sorry. It's going to look like this with the three what we call hot sensors at the bottom. These are just based on different time links. The main indicator and then the mean reversion indicators at the top. For purposes of this stream, we go to a more simplified view with only one hot sensor, but for Bitcoin, again, you can see, we did a video yesterday that covered Bitcoin and what we thought would happen right here, so you might want to go take a peek at that. But trade in about 84,272, and people always tell me I'm insane, but when you look at, let me pull it up, let me find it. Here it is. So right now, this is from CoinInc. Right now, Fear and Greed Index 31, right? And you can see it got down to, it might be a historic low, somewhere around 10 or so in here. I can't get it right on it, but I think it was, yeah, there's 10 right there. That was on 226. And we're in the 30s now, which is the lower end of the fear before we hit extreme fear. And you've got Bitcoin trading at 84,000. That's not that far off from the high. When Bitcoin can move $5,000, $6,000 in a day, we're quietly just inching along and waiting for the next boom. But you can see again, we went over this yesterday, and we're going to XRP next, just for the XRP army and XRP family. But you can see the potential trend reversal we got on, that was the 11th. It came back up, hit off one of those moving averages. It retraced a little bit, and this is where we see this being a key level. We're either going to bounce here off the top of this cloud, which is a confirmed downtrend. And if we do, we're going to get a yellow up label, which is a confirmation of trend reversal, so which could lead us higher. And the reason I say that is potentially likely right now is because we had a crossover down here on the hot sensor. At the same time, if you look at our mean reversion stats up here, our data up here, we've got our fast line, that's the red line. It's much more volatile. It's going to move faster than the orange and blue, but it's penetrated up through the red zone and is nearing the extreme zones, and that's what we want as the orange and blue come up through the green and the green zone, which we call opportunity zone. So we want this red line to be up in these extremes as the orange and blue begin to penetrate through the green and into the red. That's what we're looking for here. And I think if we can get that, we'll get that confirmation of trend reversal. And then Bitcoin's probably off to the races. So with that, we will shift to XRP here. And things are starting to get a little green here. It's nice to see. And an XRP is looking pretty much like the Bitcoin chart as far as, again, we had a potential trend reversal right off this 200-day moving average. And just go back and look at the video yesterday. We nailed it. We said this would be a potential area of resistance, and it literally nailed it. Came back a little bit, and just as we are with Bitcoin, we're looking for that trend reversal confirmation. And again, here, these are lagging a little bit more than the Bitcoin one, but they're not quite up through that opportunity zone yet. Excuse me. And the red needs to move a little bit more. So certainly, and again, one thing we mentioned crossovers. It doesn't look like we've exactly got a crossover just yet with XRP, but you'll notice the color is white, and that's key because the hot sensor, the colors go white, gray, blue, yellow, orange, red, both on the upside and on the downside. The red being the color where you would see red as the most opportune color in terms of evaluating opportunities to potentially scale out. So that is Bitcoin and XRP in a nutshell. If you want us to see or put additional cryptos through here, just put those in the comments and we'll do that. Again, we share this stuff for free, folks. So if you can, please like and share and subscribe. It really helps us out. We're basically a new channel, and we're giving away some extremely valuable information for free. So that's all we ask for in return, just to help us out. And I can tell you, we have leveraged this system to make an extraordinary amount of gains. And we want to bring this to the masses if we can, just to help them in their research efforts. Again, none of it's financial advice. It's not buy or sell, but it gives us an extremely, I guess, great level of confidence when we're looking at opportunities to scale in or scale out, or dollar cost average in or out, whatever the situation may be. But this has been a fantastic tool for us, and we want everyone to be able to have insight into it, and that's what we're doing. Links to our socials are in the description. I will say we do share the daily alerts from this system in our Patreon page. You may want to check that out. You can join there for free, and there's other options as well. But until next time, hope you enjoyed it. Maybe Bitcoin can hit that $13 million mark, create some generational wealth for you and your family. We certainly hope so. And we certainly believe it can do that. But we will see you tomorrow, and best trading. Thank you.